To you who are coming in the room in person, Shabbat Shalom to you. And we're glad to have everyone together to celebrate not only Shabbat tonight, but to celebrate one of our favorite people, Galit, who we're getting some applause already, who has in so many ways transformed our Hebrew program. And we're so fortunate to have her not only here tonight, but also in our school every Sunday and other times as well. We're going to begin our service this evening by singing Hine Ma Tovu Manayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. How good it is that we can dwell together. Let's join together. That hallelujah is particularly sweet coming off the lips of a difference maker in Columbus. One of you maybe saw in the Columbus Jewish News that Gail Rose, and also from our congregation, Alan Weiler, are two of the 18 difference makers in Columbus. She makes a difference to us every single day of our lives, but out in the community now she's finally being recognized for that. So we are very excited, and it sounds all the sweeter, Gail.
Thank you.
We're going to turn to our candle blessings to begin Shabbat. And we're going to invite Joanne and Steve Grossman, who created the award that Galit is winning tonight, because they have always said that Jewish teachers make Jews, not buildings. That's right. So we're on page 2, or right here on the screen. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom. Beautifully done. Got those on the first try. Let's read together on page 3, or up here on the screen. O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and into our lives. In just a moment, we're going to sing Lecha Dodi, but before we do that, maybe Nate could play something just pretty for a few moments so we can each take a deep breath and perhaps let go of some of the stress or grief or anything that accumulated upon your shoulders in this past week. We can welcome in just a little bit of calm on this Shabbat. find Lechado D on page 20.
Oh, beautiful. You may be seated.
Just want to briefly mention that in this week's Torah portion, it's called Re'eh. We are again reminded of the blessings that await the Israelites if they follow God's path and are decent to one another, and also the curses that await them if they go astray. While the blessings are plentiful and the curses are, shall we say, not so great, the big idea that the Israelites are reminded of here is that each of them, and in turn, each of us, has the power to choose the path of blessing or of curse. As human beings, we have the power to make choices that shape our lives, even when it feels like there is so much that is out of our control. There's a powerful teaching in the Talmud that says that all of humanity's good deeds and moral failures are in exact balance all the time. The good and the bad are in balance the entire time. Think of a giant scale of justice that is balanced exactly equally on both sides. Our tradition argues that the future of the goodness of the world, the future of the world itself, is dependent on there being more good than bad in this world. For our world to continue, the scale has to be tipped ever so slightly, like 51-49, to the side of good rather than bad. So we learn in this section of the Talmud that even one good deed, one little tiny thing that we can do, is responsible for saving the entire world. That good deed that we do, that kindness that we bestow, perhaps when nobody is watching, the moment we take to help one another, to pick the recycling out of the garbage cans, that moment of goodness when we maybe pay for somebody's coffee in line behind us. According to our tradition, at least, it is these small acts that keep our world on a forward trajectory. We are only as strong as our community, and even the smallest decisions that we make not only affect us, but according to our tradition, can affect the entire world. I think that's a really empowering idea that we have. So as we begin our service tonight and we welcome the Hebrew month of Elul this weekend, the month that precedes the High Holy Days, may we be inspired to choose blessing over curse in even the smallest ways. May we take that little extra time to do a good deed or to be kind or to reach out. And remember in the back of our heads, perhaps, that even in making these small choices, we are saving the world entire. And we can do that every time. And we say to that, amen. I'm going to invite you to rise for the Baruch Hu. You can find that on page 28. Page 28.
We're going to start off with lie, lie, lies.
You may be seated, and as day rolls in tonight, we will continue with our prayer for the evening, Ma'ariv Aravim. Please join with me in the Hebrew. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro Ma'ariv Aravim, bechochma poteach she'arim, uvitvuna meshane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim, B'mishmerotehem barakia kirtsono. We'll continue in the English. You are the creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzivaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Amen. We will rise again together for the declaration of God's oneness in Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malachuto Le'olam Va'ed.
You may be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם בלבניך ודיברת בם בשישתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיהם. אני אדוני אלוהיהם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We'll continue singing through our service here with Mi Chamocha, our prayer of freedom. And just as Mi Chamocha, who is like you, Adonai, and Mi Chamocha are questions, we can also think about perhaps what we are grateful for this Shabbat and how can we bring that gratitude to these next 24 hours. So we'll continue with Mi Chamocha. We continue with Hashkivenu as we pray that a Sukkot Shalom, a shelter, a sukkah of peace is spread over us and over all those who are in need of peace and of wholeness. Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lecha
When we sing about, pray about spreading a shelter of peace and of safe space and of learning, I think there's no one who does that better than Galit, and also so many teachers who are here present with us, and to be able to create that moment where students feel like they can be heard, like they can be able to learn in their own way is really, really special, and also give them a love of Judaism. So we'll talk a lot more about that. But also came to mind for Hashkivenu. So we'll continue singing together with Amidah, our standing prayers, first with Adonai Sifatai, and I invite you once again, if you are able, to please rise.
Adonai Sifatai tivtachu fi yagita hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzhak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanara El Elyon Gomel Hasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Hasdei Avot V'imahot, U'mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo Ba'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah, Ataki boilelam Adonai, Mechaye hako atarav lehoshia, Mechakel hayim bechesed, Mechaye hako berachamim rabim, so make noflim verofei holim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Michamocha bal givurot, Umidom melach, Melech meid, Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'emana talach hayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mikayeh hakol. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kdoshim b'chol yom yachlu chasela. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
You may be seated, and we'll take a few moments of silent prayer.
shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Well, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. In just a moment, we are going to busy ourselves with the presentation of the Steve and Joanne Grossman Torah Ora Excellence in Teaching Award. We've already told you a little bit about Galit, and we're going to tell you a lot more about her in just a moment. But I want to take a moment first to focus on Joanne and Steve, just for a brief moment. You know, I mentioned at the beginning of the service about the small acts of goodness that we can do to make the world better as a whole. And Joanne and Steve, you are models to all of us as to how to do those acts of goodness to make the world a better place. Because you practice what you preach, you get out there and do the hard work. And certainly, if anybody wants to know how to compost, or where to take their compost, or how to make the world a better place, talk to Steve or Joanne anytime. Specifically this evening, we're really grateful that a number of years ago, it has to be at least 15 years ago. I don't know, Rabbi, do you know how long have we been doing this award? About 20 years or so. It's been quite a long time that this award came up, and I don't want to talk too much about it because I feel like the two of you want to say something about it. But all I can tell you is that this is an award that really incentivizes us to find the very best teachers. We have a number of past award winners with us this evening. I'm looking at a few of them right in front of me here. We are so lucky to have exceptional teachers in our religious school. This year, of course, is no different than any of the rest because we are thrilled that Galit has done so much for us to make us a more Hebrew proficient congregation. We're going to keep working towards those goals as well. So I am really pleased to invite Steve and Joanne to come up to the bima, and then Galit will call you in a few moments. You want to go over there? Do you mind coming up here so you can use the microphone? Well, they don't want to hear you at home.
Okay. So,
That'll be $10.
so,
All right.
so Galit, so I understand that you're improving the Hebrew program. Am I correct? Am I correct? You'll try, and I know how hard that is because I was a bar bat mitzvah tutor for like 30 years. So believe me, I know how important it is for all of our students to know Hebrew before they approach their bar mitzvahs. And I've heard from a few people that you're really good at wanting to improve the program. Okay, and I have an idea, which I will share with you later. So, but my big thing is, and I've said this over and over again, and no, people didn't like it, fancy buildings don't make Jews. And I've experienced it because I personally have had some really good teachers. Fancy teachers don't make Jews. Fancy buildings don't make Jews, good teachers do. And we just have to have the best teachers for our children. And I understand that you're one of the best. Well, you could say why we started this, how we did it, very quickly.
Well, it probably goes back, as I thought about this, my parents, decades and decades ago, had created a fellowship award on Brotherhood Day, which doesn't exist anymore. But I think a few people might remember that, especially the Frank Sinatra movie that we would see every year in the 50s. And I don't think there was money related to that, but there was an award that they gave to the best student who wrote a composition in our temple back in Rockaway, New York in the early 50s. And I think that and the idea that when I was on Bexley School Board, we gave an award to the best teacher each year. And that idea kind of, once I thought about it, we should do the same thing here, hence the Torah Aura Award. Oh, we have to sit down now?
Thank you so much, Steve and Joanne, and you are all absolutely right that our teachers are who make our religious school and who will help create our next generation. And I'm so honored to be able to share a few words about our Torah Aura recipient, Galit Golan, before we formally present you with the award. So at the end of teacher orientation, which was this past Sunday, Galit came up to me and she shared at least 3 different ideas for ways that she could be even more helpful during our religious school year, such as training madrahim, assisting new Hebrew teachers, and teaching adults at different levels. She said to me essentially, I want to be useful. She said, use me. And to me, that is so indicative of the kind of person that Galit is and why she is so deserving of the Torah Aura Award. Galit goes above and beyond in generosity of her time and her dedication, and she embodies truly the best of teaching and being a teacher. Galit has been involved in our religious school for many years. She teaches 3rd grade Aleph Bet in religious school, providing new Hebrew learners with a strong foundation, along with teaching older grades. But as Rabbi Benji alluded to earlier, that really sets the tone for our Hebrew program as a whole and has really helped revamp and revision it. Galit has led a very popular adult Hebrew class, and I'm sure many of you are already hoping that it is beginning again this fall, and it is, during the second half of the morning. And she also leads Hebrew review classes over the summer, and she also does one-on-one Hebrew tutoring for students who are new to Hebrew as well. But this doesn't effectively capture how Galit brings her full heart to each of these endeavors and the lasting mark it creates on her students of all ages and our TBS community at large. Galit's teaching sets a fast-paced and engaging tone, and she uses a variety of teaching modalities to teach all different kinds of learners who may learn best through reading or hearing or movement. In 3rd grade, she sets this tone of excitement and engagement as students first begin to understand the Hebrew language and instills in them a love of Hebrew, and it's personal to each of them. Galit builds strong bonds with her madrahim, some of whom are here this evening, or high school teaching assistants, and she empowers them to lead small groups in review, and they request to have Galit every single year that they're in the program. Galit's one-on-one learning during the summer with new students not only sets them up for B'nai Mitzvah, but also instills that love of Jewish learning that impacts them for many years to come. Even after their B'nai Mitzvah, they stay connected to our community and become our madrahim, so they can stay learning with Galit in her class. Her teaching extends to her full-time career as a Hebrew educator at the Ohio State University, and her college students often also become our teachers. Just last year, one of our teachers, Hannah, graduated and she began her next chapter as a Jewish professional in Chicago. So Galit, you were a big part of instilling her love in Judaism, like so many others, and now it's going to reach so many more in our community. Galit's adult students love learning Hebrew with her too, and twice a year I get a small mountain of emails from them, in the spring asking if adult Hebrew will be continuing next year, and in the fall, when it's going to start. Galit regularly stays after school hours formally end, and she even meets outside of Sunday mornings to fully accommodate her learners, including, like I mentioned, during the summer. In each of her encounters with students, madrahim, parents, and colleagues, Galit is kind, respectful, and patient, even when maybe it's difficult to be patient. She brings her full self to each classroom and learning moment. She adapts to each student's learning needs and always puts them first. Galit is a dependable and gracious collaborator, mentor, and co-teacher. I know each of our teachers can speak to that as well. But you don't have to take it from me. Here are some statements from just a few people in our community who have been impacted by Galit. One of Galit's students in Madrahim shares, Galit has been my Hebrew teacher for 6 years, and I love learning from her, not just the language, but also Israeli culture. She is very patient and great at explaining concepts. I've also enjoyed teaching 3rd grade Hebrew alongside her and seeing how exceptional she is in the classroom. Her adult Hebrew students say that Galit is an inspired teacher for adults. She is one of the best teachers I have ever known. Her method of presentation, frequent reviews, patience, and enthusiasm make learning a delight. Another adult student adds, in addition to her being an exemplary teacher in the classroom, Galit incredibly adapted her skills to teaching on Zoom. As a fellow educator, I can say Galit is a great teacher who cares about all of her students, from the youngest to the oldest. From a college student who is now one of our teachers, I'm trying not to get emotional, getting to be one of Galit's students as an adult truly changed my life. She made me fall in love with the Hebrew language and helped instill a passion for Judaism in me. As a direct result of taking Hebrew with Galit, I decided to major in Jewish history and minor in Hebrew. Thank you, Galit, for your patience, constant encouragement, and dedication to teaching. You are truly making the world a better place. So Galit, I'd like to ask you to please come on up here for this last part. You can just stand right here so we can all see you. So Galit, there's a story in our tradition about a scholar named Choni who is walking through a garden and he sees a woman planting carob trees with fully grown trees behind her. Choni asks how long it will take for these seedlings to bear fruit, and she responds, 60 years. You know this story. Choni is shocked, and he asks the woman, why plant trees that are going to bear fruit in so much time, in 60 years? You may not be alive by then to enjoy them. Why not just enjoy the carob trees that are already planted? And the woman smiles and says, gesturing to the trees behind her, past generations planted these trees for me so that I might enjoy them. So too do I plant for my children and my grandchildren, and perhaps for my students and their students. So Galit, it is clear to anyone who knows you that you put in the time, effort, and care, and it takes a lot of those things as an educator, to not only plant a love of Hebrew and Jewish learning in our students, but to also be a positive and impactful role model for them. In the garden that is your classroom, every student matters, every madrich and madricha is valuable, and every moment counts. And it hasn't taken even close to 60 years for us to see the fruits of your labor, the many gifts that you have given us and our community. From the small amount I shared, there are hundreds more students who are impacted by your teaching, your education, but even more importantly, your presence and your kindness and who you are. Our real community doesn't gain just by what you teach, but by who you are, Galit. That's the real gift you give us. It is truly an honor as the director of our religious school, as a fellow educator, and as your friend to present to you the Torah Ora Award for you this year. Toda Rabah. Thank you so much. May I give you a hug?
So much fun, Brian. Really.
We do this?
Yeah, we can do this.
Yeah, no worries. Well, hold on, wait, can I give you a hug? Why don't we have Joanne and Steve
Steve and
come
Joanne,
and present
can
the
you come on up?
actual award? There you go. Yes. Yeah, we can clap for Galit. We'll get a new one. This is class here. Do you want to say anything, Galit, or no? You certainly can.
I ask not to say much because English is not my first language. You know, I teach Hebrew, but thank you so much. It is my pleasure to get into the class and just see my students every time and teach, and I just enjoy it, and I love to see them grow, and they do so much, and I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
Galit, none of us are going to think of the letter bet without its belly button, I think. Any of us who have been indoctrinated into your system are going to be thinking of that. Well, we are so grateful. And in that same spirit of giving and care that Galit shows her students, we want to give that same level of care to those in our community who are in need of healing. We have a number of folks on our Misha Berach list this evening. I'll share their names here, and if you have other names that you'd like to add, then we'll have an opportunity to do so as I'm finished with the list. And this Shabbat, we are thinking of healing for Catherine Adler, Marilyn Altman, Lynn Adams, Sarah Bates, Deborah Belford, Barbara Belford, Marjorie Block, Paul Branson, Lee Buden, Dan Kristen. We're thinking of Dorothy Collins, Lily Kovitz, Adrian Crawford, Gary Dicker, Tony Diegler, Ella Dubrow. We're thinking of Carrie Ebert, Sylvia Eckstein, Elaine Ellick, Nancy Emmerman. We're thinking of Rachel Ensign. We're thinking of Marvin Epstein, Greg Feldman Hill, Michael Fiorelli, and Rachel Fish. Olivia Glick, Rachel Goldman Mosley, Jimmy Green, David Haas, David Hirsch, Neil Johnson, Jamie Grace Cash, and Don Kerr. Peter Levy and Barb Lucas, and Fred Martin, Richard McGarvey, Minna Melton, Caleb Moses. Susan Northrup, Robert Oakley, Nick Parisi, Murrow Perlo. We're thinking of Aaron Phelan, Ian Phillips, Rashi Prestowski, Jessica Rathkoff, Cindy Ravitsky. Thinking of William J. Reese, Barry Richmond, Irving Rose, David Russell, Ralph Sauer, Marty Schuster, Aminadav Sella, Yehudit Bat Simcha. Thinking of Richard Scher, Jonah Snyder, Jeffrey Solov, Ruth Ann Stewart, Pam Storer, Lou Supowitz. We're thinking of Joyce Schwartzman, Robert Weiss, and Randy Cohen-Weinstock. I ask if there are other names of folks, thank you, if there are other names that we are thinking of for healing. Any other names? We're going to also mention Ava McKean, Rosemary Warm, and Pete Bowman. And perhaps you have someone who you're thinking of in your heart who is in special need of healing. We send prayers and love and so much goodness to those who need it most. Baruch atah Adonai rofeh hacholim. Blessed are you, God, who helps send healing and strength where it is most needed. Misha Berach. I'll invite you to please rise. You can find Aleinu beginning on page 282. Please rise.
Aleinu l'shabeach Adon hakol, latei gedula liyotzeh breshit, shelo asanu k'gei haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, Shalot Chilkenu Kahem, Vekor Aleinu Kol Hamonam, Va'anachnu Korim, Umishtachavim Umodim, Lifnei Melech, Malchei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Bayom Hahu, Yeh Adonai Echad, Ushemo, Ushemo, Ushemo Echad.
When I die, give what's left of me away to children and old men that wait to die. And if you need to cry, cry for your brother walking the street beside you. And when you need me, put your arms around anyone and give them what you need to give me. I want to leave you something better than words or sounds. Look for me in the people I've known and loved. And if you cannot give me away, at least let me live in your eyes and not in your mind. You can love me best by letting hands touch hands and by letting go of children that need to be free. Love doesn't die. People do. So when all that's left of me is love, give me away. As we approach Mourner's Kaddish, we think of those whom we love very much and who we also see in our eyes and in our minds, and who hopefully we can give that love that we feel for them to all the others around us. This evening, we're recalling those whom we've lost within the last 30 days in observing Shloshim. We remember with love Nisan Barlev, Raymond Carlsberger, and Arnie Richmond. We're also recalling those whom we lost at this season in years past in our observing yahrzeit. We remember Samuel Alpert, Louis Becker, Phil Colangelo, Anna Gershowitz, Joseph Kushner, Herbie Leibovitz, Daniel Lippy, Saul Luckton, Herbert Margolis, Hazel Norris, Mary Santora, Sylvia Schneider, and Fanny Singer. If you're remembering someone this evening, I invite you to say their name either aloud or in your heart.
Larry Miller.
For them and for those who have no one left to say Kaddish for them, we'll turn together to page 294 or on our screens for Mourner's Kaddish. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach hirute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kari v'imru amen. Yehi Shemei Rabbah mivarach le'olam ulamei almaya. Yit barach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yit hadar v'yit halev v'yit halal shemei dekudesha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace and comfort to all of those who are in mourning and to all who are in need of that peace and wholeness. And let us say together, amen. You may be seated. I'd like to invite up Bobby for any announcements.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. So this is the time of year where we have many new families joining the temple. And one recent addition has a daughter who worked with Galit this summer. And this family told me, among many reasons, one of the reasons why they are joining TBS is specifically to continue working with you, Galit. So little did you know, you're a great recruiter for TBS, so thank you. And Steve and Joanne, thank you once again for making this a wonderful annual tradition and a part of the TBS calendar. And thank you to the Men's Club for providing dinner tonight, which you are all invited to enjoy in the social hall after services. Two short announcements. Sunday is a big day. It's in the morning. It's the first day of religious school at JCC Camp Hoover from 10 to noon. And then at 5 o'clock here at the temple, it's our end of summer bash, which is a great way for us to come together as a community and reconnect after the summer. There's going to be bounce houses, Kona ice truck, the Rabbi Dunk Tank is going to make a return, and a good appearance by the New Albany Fire Department. So that's 5 p.m. And I think I said men's club dinner, so there'll be plenty of food. On Wednesday, August 31st at 7 p.m., a program that was rescheduled, Abortion in Jewish Law and Thought, taught by our wonderful rabbis. To RSVP, that information is in the e-window, as well as information about other programs. So if you have any questions, feel free to email any of us, give the temple a call, and we look forward to seeing you again this weekend. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Bobby. We are excited for that dunk tank because it's going to be 89 degrees on Sunday evening. So yes, if anybody wants in, we can arrange for that. Should we do a little kiddush and motzi?
That sounds
And what's our closing song, Mrs. Rose?
Tefillah Haderech.
Tefillat Haderech. I forgot to put that in the slides, so it says klezmer band, but that's not right. So we'll just, we all know the words maybe.
Page 345 in the book.
Oh, it's in the book? Robin, we need you. I see you back there. You can't hide. Rabbi, we need you. Emma, there you are. I see you. We should have the Joe Bracks come up to represent Maddie, but you can, what's that? Sure, yeah, you can say something.
As people are getting together, I'd like you to know that this is a great award, but I remember being at an Ohio State football game, and all of a sudden, Galit shows up in the middle of the field. She was not playing football at the time, but she was being honored as one of the best teachers at Ohio State University. And so I also had the honor of teaching her daughter at Capital University, which was a great thing. She was a very nice student and actually stayed over and chatted with me about various things after all the other students had gone home. And lastly, I see Galit almost every week because we study Hebrew together, and she makes me speak Hebrew for 45, 50 minutes. And I don't know if I've gotten any better, but I certainly have not just met a great Hebrew teacher and have a great Hebrew teacher, but also a wonderful, positive personality who makes me feel better just by being in the same space. So mazel tov to you.
I think we want to know, how does this ceremony compare to the OSU 50-yard line? Let's join together. If you know Kiddush, you can sing along with us. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher b'shanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzah b'anu, v'shalat kosho v'yahavav ratzon yichilanu, zikaron l'maaseh bereshit. You can drink that or give it to Rabbi if you want. This is the only man who loves Manischewitz. And we'll join together. Why don't you guys want to hold that together here, Gail and God? too, Gail? We'll join together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, haolam v'lehem haaretz. Amen. Let's have out and Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. And join us downstairs. There's delicious dinner. Thank you to Joanne and Steve for also